The princess has set her sights on my husband. The imperial consort summoned me to the palace, demanding I choose between divorce or widowhood for my husband. I refused to choose. 3 days later, at the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, my own maid accused me of poisoning her. The entire Pei family was implicated and imprisoned. The princess appeared before me in full regalia, looking down on me as she declared, earlier, when I asked you to choose between divorce or widowhood for Lord Pei, you refused. Now, you have no choice. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back at the very moment the imperial consort had forced me to make that choice for my husband. Earlier, when I asked you to choose between divorce or widowhood for Lord Pei, you refused. Now, you have no choice. The moment Princess Huiyang appeared in the imperial prison, I finally understood the root of the Pei family's calamity. The widowed Princess Huiyang had set her sights on my husband, Pei Yu. Princess Huiyang was born to the current imperial consort, and her maternal grandfather commanded vast military power. With such status, she would never accept being a secondary wife. But Pei Yu already had a lawful wife. So the imperial consort summoned me to the palace, forcing me to choose for Pei Yu, divorce or widowhood. I refused to choose. 3 days later, at the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, my maid Xiuquan accused me of poisoning the Empress Dowager's meal, attempting to murder her. According to Xiuquan's confession, my motive for poisoning the Empress Dowager stemmed from her previous attempt to arrange a marriage for Pei Yu before my betrothal to him. Upon learning of this, I harbored deep resentment. Now, unable to contain this hatred, I bribed someone in the imperial kitchen to poison the Empress Dowager's meal. The cook I bribed immediately poisoned herself. Xiuquan's accusation, coupled with the poisoned meal the Empress Dowager never got to eat, became irrefutable evidence of my crime. The entire Pei clan, including infants under 1 year old, was imprisoned. I was subjected to severe torture, but I refused to confess. I would never admit to something I didn't do. Princess Huiyang ground her foot against my fingers, still swollen from torture. With utter disgust, she declared, 3 days ago, you could have chosen divorce. But now, my terms have changed. Princess Huiyang pressed her foot down slightly. An agony shot through me. I bit my lip hard, my gaze filled with hatred as I stared at her. Princess Huiyang remained utterly indifferent. She declared, Qin Shi, if you confess your crimes, I shall spare the entire Pei family. Pei Lang may still marry a princess, and the Pei clan will regain its former glory. Princess Huiyang spoke these words without turning away from the Pei women present. She likely intended to use this method to force the Pei family to coerce my confession. That way, only I would die. The entire Pei clan would survive. My heart wavered. If Princess Huiyang intended to make Pei Yu her son-in-law, she would certainly spare the rest of the Pei family. By sacrificing only me, everyone in the Pei clan could live. Zheng. The old lady suddenly called my name. Her gaze was unwavering as she said, do not confess to something you did not do. Hearing this, even my mother-in-law, Lady Zhou, added, if the Pei clan must sacrifice a daughter-in-law's life and honor to survive, then we might as well smash our heads against these prison walls today. She lifted her eyes to Princess Huiyang and declared with unwavering resolve, Pei Yu will have only one wife in this life, that is Ajing. Our entire Pei clan is a lineage of loyal martyrs. If today, because of your selfish desires, Princess Huiyang, we are all to die unjustly in this prison, not only would the people of the realm never accept it, but His Majesty himself would never turn a blind eye. Yet my mother-in-law had miscalculated. The emperor had long sought to reclaim the military power held by the Pei family. The imperial consort dared to scheme against me so brazenly precisely because she was certain His Majesty would never investigate this matter. He would only seize the opportunity to strip the Pei family of their military authority, eliminating this thorn in his side. The words of the old lady and my mother-in-law thoroughly enraged Princess Huiyang. After that day, the rest of the Pei family also suffered punishment. I was filled with regret. But my mother-in-law still wouldn't let me confess. She whispered softly, "Jing. At this point, it's no longer about whether you confess or not." She gave a bitter smile. "Now, it's not just Princess Huiyang who wants us dead, it's also Consort Jing and the Emperor." I bit my lip. "I understand, Mother. If the Emperor truly intended to uphold justice for the Pei family, how could those people dare to torture the Pei family members so easily? Though the poisoner cook is dead, many things, if one seeks them, will surely reveal traces." It must be said, Consort Jing truly lives up to her reputation as the Emperor's favorite. She likely understands him better than anyone. Knowing he wanted to strike at the Pei family, she took advantage of Princess Huiyang's interest in Pei Yu to subtly create an opportunity for the Emperor to act. Once this affair settled, Consort Jing would likely advance her position even further. Day after day of torture left fewer and fewer survivors in the Pei family. Yet they ceased torturing me. For Princess Huiyang had returned. She wore splendid court robes, her appearance exquisitely adorned. "Qin Shi, open your eyes and see clearly. Had you not refused to divorce Pei Lang back then, the Pei family would never have suffered this calamity." I kept my eyes closed, refusing to look at her. But Princess Huiyang ordered her maidservant to force my eyelids open. "I commanded you to witness the Pei family's fate." She looked down on me from above and said, "Qin Shi, what difference does your refusal make? Once the Pei family is dead, young Master Pei will still become this princess's son-in-law. Then, this princess will make you understand that your so-called perseverance is utterly worthless." The members of the Pei family died one after another before my eyes. Not only did Princess Huiyang stop the torture against me, she even sent a female physician to treat my wounds. She wanted me to live to see the Pei family's downfall with my own eyes. I could no longer recall how long I'd been imprisoned. As the Pei family members died one after another, I'd thought of ending my own life many times, to join them. But Princess Huiyang had specifically assigned guards to watch me, preventing my suicide. Now, I couldn't even die if I wanted to. Only Pei Yu and I remain of the Pei family. Princess Huiyang has imprisoned Pei Yu in the cell next to mine. He bears no marks of torture, yet his entire frame is emaciated. A scar runs almost the length of his face. That scar ran deep to the bone, making his once handsome features look grotesque. Pei Yu inflicted that wound himself with a shard of broken porcelain. After learning everything stemmed from Princess Huiyang's infatuation with him, Pei Yu shattered his rice bowl, carving that horrific scar onto his own face. Pei Yu leaned against the corner, his eyes seemingly devoid of life. Were it not for the faint rise and fall of his chest, I might have thought he was already gone. Princess Huiyang came to the prison once more, right before my eyes. She asked Pei Yu if he was willing to marry a princess. Princess Huiyang pointed at me and said, "If you agree, I'll spare her life." My gaze instinctively turned to Pei Yu. The once lifeless Pei Yu happened to look at me as well. Our eyes met for a moment, and we both understood each other's meaning. Pei Yu let out a cold laugh, his voice weak. Pei Yu, will have only one wife in this life. That is a Jin." With those words, Pei Yu threw himself headfirst to his death before Princess Huiyang. Princess Huiyang's face froze in utter shock. Before she could react, I seized the moment with lightning speed. I yanked the hairpin from her hair and thrust it with all my might, aiming for Princess Huiyang's throat. But Princess Huiyang's maids had already reacted. They shielded her, and I lost my only chance. With bitter regret, I plunged the hairpin into my own throat. "Madam Qin, have you decided how to choose?" A familiar voice called out. I instinctively looked up to see Consort Jing leisurely trimming the potted plant on the table. Noticing my daze, the consort's maid snapped sharply, "Mrs. Pei, the consort is addressing you." What are you spacing out for? I touched my own neck. I was still alive? Had I been reborn? Wild joy surged through me. Just as I pondered how to answer the consort's question, the old lady's voice echoed from the doorway. What does Her Imperial Highness the consort wish for this old woman's granddaughter-in-law to choose? Leaning on her cane, the old lady stepped inside. Consort Xing promptly set down her scissors and replied with a light chuckle, nothing at all. Merely a jest. Old Lady Pei. You seem so anxious. Could it be you fear I might be causing trouble for young Lady Pei? The old lady cast a cool glance at Consort Xing. Your Highness overthinks matters. I came to pay my respects to Her Majesty the Empress Dowager and happened to hear my granddaughter-in-law was here. I merely stopped by to escort her home. After leaving Consort Xing's quarters, the old lady squeezed my hand and whispered, Xing, Yu is waiting for you at the palace gates. The old lady had been invited into the palace by Pei Yu to fetch me. As a court official, Pei Yu naturally couldn't step foot in the emperor's inner palace. In the carriage, the old lady inquired about the reason Consort Xing had summoned me to the palace today. I couldn't help but recall the events that unfolded for the Pei family after this day in my previous life, and sorrow welled up within me. I had only 3 days to alter the fate of the Pei family from my past life. Yet in my past life, Pei Yu hadn't appeared at the palace gates today, let alone invited the old lady to fetch me. Thinking this, I instinctively glanced at Pei Yu. His lips were pressed together, his expression grave. I said, Princess Huiyang wishes for my husband to marry her. Consort Xing summoned me today to choose between divorce or losing my husband. This is outrageous. The old lady was furious. Even if she was a consort, she had no right to force a divorce. Or even, especially since Princess Huiyang's husband had died less than half a year ago. Pei Yu, who had remained silent, suddenly spoke up. That husband's death was intrinsically linked to Princess Huiyang. Were it not for fear of scandal, she likely wouldn't have waited even half a year. The old lady fumed. Neither Princess Huiyang nor Consort Xing are easy to deal with. Since Xing refused them today, I fear. I sighed deeply and said, Princess Huiyang is relentless until she gets her way. I fear they'll resort to other underhanded tactics to force my husband and me into submission. In my past life, even after Pei Yu scarred his face, Princess Huiyang still wouldn't abandon him. The more unattainable something was, the more she craved it. A cold gleam flashed in Pei Yu's eyes as he murmured, Yes. So we must strike first. Pei Yu's words almost confirmed my suspicions. He had also been reborn. Upon returning to the manor, Pei Yu immediately dispatched a trusted confidant to secretly spread rumors. Princess Huiyang had set her sights on him. Unable to force me into a divorce, she now plotted to eliminate me. Meanwhile, I had someone keep a close watch on Xiuquan. In my previous life, she had only stepped forward to accuse me of poisoning the Empress Dowager after I rejected Consort Xing. Regardless of when Consort Xing bribed her, she would definitely send someone to contact Xiuquan before the Empress Dowager's birthday. By keeping a close watch on Xiuquan, I could naturally catch Consort Xing's agents. As for that kitchen maid who took her own life, Pei Yu has already dispatched people to investigate. We both know the truth about my rebirth. But there's no time now to dwell on it. Before the Empress Dowager's birthday arrives, we must first find a way to protect the Pei family. Having failed to coerce Xing into compliance this time, Consort Xing will likely try another approach. During supper, Pei Yu dismissed the attending maids and broached the subject in hushed tones. Hearing this, my mother-in-law tentatively inquired, Yu, where do you think Consort Xing will strike next? Pei Yu exchanged a glance with me before replying, She'll likely frame Xing to drag the Pei family into the mud. Pei Yu lowered his eyes, his voice cold. His Majesty has long sought to reclaim the Pei family's military authority. Once the Pei family is implicated, no one in court will dare speak in our defense. Then, even if I didn't do it, it will be pinned on me. After all, That's how it unfolded in my previous life. Mother hesitated for a moment before suggesting, in that case, perhaps we should write a letter to your father, urging him to relinquish the military authority. That way, His Majesty might. Mother. Pei Yu cut her off. Even with the military authority still in our hands, Consort Jing dares to scheme against us. If we truly surrender it, then we'd truly be at their mercy. Like fish on the chopping block. The rumor started with one of Pei Yu's confidants. But soon others quietly stoked the flames. Within a single day, the entire capital knew Princess Hui Yang, born to the current consort Jing, had set her sights on another man's husband. Unable to force a divorce, she'd even attempted to take his life. Rumors, by their very nature, distort as they spread. More exaggerated versions claimed Princess Hui Yang had already struck at Lady Pei Yu, only for the young mistress to narrowly escape by sheer luck, thus revealing the princess's wicked deeds to the world. Simultaneously, whispers surfaced about Princess Hui Yang's late consort. Princess Hui Yang's consort was the legitimate second son of the main branch of the Yu family of Qinghe, and also the newly crowned third-place scholar in the imperial examinations. Princess Hui Yang fell for him at first sight. At that time, Yu Erlang was engaged to the eldest daughter of the Marquis of Huiping's household. The two had been childhood sweethearts. A match made in heaven. Yet Princess Hui Yang had set her sights on Yu Erlang. The Yu family and the Marquis of Huiping's household had no choice but to call off the engagement. Yet less than 2 years after their marriage, Yu Erlang died within Princess Hui Yang's residence. The exact circumstances remained unknown to outsiders. Following Yu Erlang's death, the entire Yu family relocated, leaving their ancestral home in Qinghe. Shortly before Yu Erlang's demise, the eldest daughter of the Marquis of Huiping had become betrothed to the nephew of Consort Jing's maternal family. Is this connected to Princess Hui Yang? I asked instinctively. Pei Yu gave a slight nod. The nephew of Consort Jing was a good-for-nothing. This marriage was arranged at Consort Jing's behest, and the Marquis of Huiping's wife agreed to it. But ultimately, it still connected back to Princess Hui Yang. I recall that not long after, the eldest daughter of the Marquis of Huiping's household met with an accident. She fell into the water and died unexpectedly. Pei Yu scoffed. But the truth is, her death was suspicious. The Marquis of Huiping simply declared it an accident to maintain peace. Not long after the eldest daughter's funeral, Yu Erlang died at Princess Hui Yang's residence. On the second day after returning from the palace, Sichuan pretended to go by embroidery thread and secretly met with someone sent by Consort Jing. The person I sent to watch Sichuan immediately apprehended both of them, gagged them, and brought them back to the mansion. This servant recognizes her. She's one of Lady Zhang's attendants. Zhang Mama, the matron's attendant, said. The matriarch gave a cold laugh. With matters concerning the Empress Dowager, the Jing family would naturally send trusted agents to relay messages. So be it. I slowly curved my lips. Since they are from the Jing family, we shall naturally return them to the Jing family. Only by escalating the situation to the point where neither the Jing family nor Consort Jing can contain it will we prevent anyone from poisoning the Empress Dowager during her birthday banquet. Should anyone attempt to frame or slander me and the Pei family again in the near future, the world will see it as a scheme orchestrated by the Jing family. Consort Jing and Princess Hui Yang. Ah, Jing is right. The old lady gave me an approving look and said, "Let this old woman personally go and meet with the Jing family." The old lady personally escorted the person back to the Jing household. This time, she made no attempt to conceal her visit. Instead, she went in full force. By the time the Pei family carriage arrived at the Jing residence, a crowd of onlookers had already gathered. In full view of the public, the old lady had the maiden-waiting by Lady Zhang's side dragged out and publicly accused her of attempting to incite my own maidservant to frame me. Hidden inside the carriage, my heart ached so deeply I nearly wept. In my past life, the old lady protected me until the very end. Madam Zhang, I am truly curious, What exactly has my granddaughter-in-law done to provoke you, that you would scheme against her so viciously? The onlookers pointed and whispered at Madame Jing. I overheard whispers mentioning Consort Jing and Princess Huiyang. Madame Jing's expression darkened. Madame Pei. She hurriedly protested. This is all a misunderstanding. Our Jing and Pei families have no grudges. Why would we frame your young mistress? As she spoke, she shot the old woman a fierce glare. That old woman was dismissed yesterday for theft. Instead of repenting, she dared to sow discord between our families. She truly deserves punishment. In a few words, she shifted all blame onto the servant. The old lady smiled faintly, offering no rebuttal. Whatever Lady Jing says goes, she remarked. With that, she ordered the old woman dumped at the Jing residence's gate before commanding her carriage back home. Inside the carriage, the matriarch finally asked me, Jinger, what shall we do with that maid? Xiu Chuan? What shall we do with her? My mind drifted back to the Pei family's massacre in my previous life. Xiu Chuan had only been bought into service a few years ago. From the moment she entered the manor, she had served by my side. Always diligent and devoted, never making the slightest mistake. Naturally, I had never treated her harshly. Yet this seemingly insignificant person became the pivotal piece in the Pei family's downfall. Had Xiu Chun not unexpectedly turned against us, had Pei Yu been given a moment more time, the Pei family would never have met such an end. Even the infants perished in that dungeon of darkness. Closing my eyes, I commanded harshly, such a traitor shall be dealt with according to our family code. Regardless of why Xiu Chun betrayed me, she indirectly caused the Pei family's annihilation. How could I possibly forgive such a person? If I spared her life, who would have spared the Pei family in my past life? On the Empress Dowager's birthday, I accompanied my mother-in-law and the old lady into the palace, just as I had in my previous life. No sooner had I taken my seat than Princess Huiyang sent for me. She stared at me for a long moment before saying coldly, I did underestimate you. My gaze instinctively fell upon Princess Huiyang's pale neck. Just a hair's breadth more, and that hairpin would have pierced her throat. After reincarnating, I learned that perhaps due to her many misdeeds, the palace maids serving Princess Huiyang were all trained in martial arts. That's why in my previous life, when I tried to thrust the hairpin into Princess Huiyang's throat, they reacted so swiftly. Before I could speak, Princess Huiyang declared, Qin Shi, how dare you slander this princess and the imperial consort? I feigned bewilderment. Your servant bears no grudge against the princess. Why would I slander the imperial consort or her highness? Princess Huiyang sneered coldly. Whether there is enmity or not, don't you know that yourself? She seemed poised to say more when a voice behind her cut her off. Huiyang, be silent. It was Consort Jing. Consort Jing had damaged her body giving birth to Princess Huiyang and had been unable to conceive another heir to the throne in all these years. Perhaps because of this, Consort Jing doted on Princess Huiyang immensely. Yet this time, unprecedentedly, she reprimanded Princess Huiyang right before my eyes and even forced her to apologize to me. Princess Huiyang naturally refused. Seeing this, Consort Jing said, Huiyang, today is Her Majesty the Empress Dowager's birthday. Do you wish to escalate this matter to your father, the Emperor? Hearing this, Princess Huiyang reluctantly apologized to me. After Princess Huiyang had apologized, I slowly said, it was merely a minor misunderstanding. Your Highness needn't dwell on it. Princess Huiyang shot me a displeased glare and retorted, merely a misunderstanding? Then why didn't you say it was a misunderstanding when I apologized to you just now? Huiyang! Consort Jing glared at her. Shut your mouth. Past and present events have made it clear to me, this Princess Huiyang is simply wicked. As for brains, they must have all migrated to Consort Jing's head. Only after they had walked far away did my maid whisper, rumor has it this princess is terribly arrogant. This is the first time I've ever seen her apologize to anyone. I lowered my eyes. A cold laugh echoing in my heart. An apology? An apology alone won't suffice. What I want is Princess Huiyang's life. I thought exposing Consort Zheng's plot early would prevent any mishaps at the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet. Yet poison was still slipped into the Empress Dowager's meal. The Empress Dowager kept a tabby cat. Earlier, she seemed to habitually take her own food to feed the cat. Within mere moments, the tabby cat breathed its last. Imperial guards immediately cordoned off the scene, and all kitchen staff were arrested. My gaze instinctively turned to Consort Zheng, only to find her equally stunned, seemingly unprepared for today's turn of events. Princess Huiyang rose and declared loudly, "Madam Pei, surely you didn't poison the Empress Dowager's meal?" "Princess Huiyang, watch your words," my mother-in-law snapped. "The Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Punishment will determine who administered the poison. But you, a princess of noble birth, publicly cast this slander upon my daughter-in-law. What possible motive could you have?" Her words prompted murmurs among the noble women present. Over the past 3 days, rumors had swirled wildly about Princess Huiyang coveting Pei Yu and attempting to kill me to take my place. Those present had surely heard these tales. Instantly, the gazes directed at Princess Huiyang grew subtly charged. Seeing this, anger surged within Princess Huiyang. But before she could speak, Consort Zheng shot her a cold glance. "Madam Pei, please forgive her." Princess Huiyang was merely anxious about her Imperial Majesty the Empress Dowager and spoke without thinking. "I shall personally apologize to Madam Pei on her behalf." Her mother-in-law, looking as though she dared not speak her mind, replied, "Since the noble consort has spoken thus, then perhaps this servant woman has misunderstood." With that, she sat down immediately, paying no further attention to Princess Huiyang. Princess Huiyang tried to protest, but Consort Zheng had already ordered her escorted away. "But I see it now. The poison in the Empress Dowager's meal was likely Princess Huiyang's doing, administered behind Consort Zheng's back. That cook from my past life is dead again. She took her own life. The poison in the Empress Dowager's meal was that cook's doing. But with her death, the case reached a dead end. The poison was Princess Huiyang's doing. That cook was merely a scapegoat," Pei Yu said. "I knew Consort Zheng had orchestrated this. She was helping Princess Huiyang eliminate a threat." A chill ran down my spine. Had we not stirred up trouble beforehand, this blame would surely have fallen on me. And just like in my past life, it would have implicated the Pei family. Pei Yu added more tea to his cup and murmured softly, "Whether it's Consort Zheng, Princess Huiyang, or the Zheng family, their protector is that person. They dared to target the Pei family because what they did aligns with what that person desires." I instantly grasped Pei Yu's meaning. As long as that person remains in power, our crisis will persist. Therefore, to truly resolve the hidden dangers facing the Pei family, we must address that person. Before the matter of the Empress Dowager being poisoned at her own birthday banquet could be resolved, a major incident erupted in the capital. The Yu family arrived in the capital to accuse Princess Huiyang of poisoning Yu Erlang. Simultaneously, the lady of the Marquis of Huaiping struck the drum of public complaints, accusing Consort Zheng of coercing the Marquis's eldest daughter into betrothal with her nephew by threatening the Marquis's other daughter. This ultimately drove the eldest daughter to her death. These two incidents thrust Consort Zheng and Princess Huiyang into the eye of the storm. The emperor had no choice but to confine both women to their residences and ordered the Ministry of Justice and the Supreme Court to jointly investigate the cases. With 2 lives at stake, a resolution was imperative. Yet the findings presented by the Ministry of Justice and the Supreme Court proved deeply disappointing. Both Yu Erlang and the eldest daughter of the Marquis of Huiping's household were deemed to have died in accidents, with no connection whatsoever to Consort Zheng or Princess Huiyang. The emperor immediately lifted the confinement of Consort Zheng and Princess Huiyang. As for the Marquis of Huiping's household and the Yu family, they received only token compensation, and the matter was deemed settled. "It seems our sovereign truly values consort Xing," the mother-in-law remarked with a sneer. Pei Yu shook his head. "He values not consort Xing, but the imperial family's reputation." Had consort Xing and Princess Huiyang truly been implicated in a murder case, it would have tarnished the imperial family's reputation. Therefore, the emperor's decision to protect them was primarily to preserve the imperial family's dignity. As for the deaths of Yu Erlang and the eldest daughter of the Marquis of Huiping's household, how could they possibly care? In the blink of an eye, the emperor's birthday festival arrived. This year, the fourth prince's tribute differed from those of the other princes. Perhaps due to advancing age, His Majesty had recently become obsessed with alchemy. It seemed every emperor yearned for immortality. Seizing this opportunity, the fourth prince catered to his father's whim, procuring an alchemist adept in the art from some unknown source. The emperor was overjoyed, immediately appointing the alchemist as imperial preceptor. Even the fourth prince received exceptionally lavish rewards. But none of them knew that this Taoist master was actually one of Pei Yu's men. "I've already examined him," the Taoist master said. "He's been hollowed out inside. Even without our intervention, he doesn't have much time left." Pei Yu gave a slight nod. "Then prolong his life. He cannot die yet." The imperial preceptor glanced at Pei Yu with surprise. Pei Yu sneered. "If anyone must die first, it will be those princes of his." The imperial preceptor instantly understood. "Yes, I understand." After taking the elixir concocted by the imperial preceptor, the emperor's health seemed to improve day by day. He revered the imperial preceptor as if he were a deity. But this development made his sons, who coveted the throne, increasingly restless. The older ones were no longer satisfied with their petty squabbles. Within mere days, over half of their agents within the court were eliminated, a mutually destructive outcome. The emperor, naturally, welcomed this development. Now that his health had visibly improved, he could tolerate his son's ambitions for the throne even less. His favor toward the Grand Preceptor, who had indirectly resolved this trouble for him, only deepened. He had no fear of his sons fighting to the death. When the princes realized their losses were too great and sought a truce, the emperor instead secretly stoked the flames. He betrothed the niece of consort Zheng's maternal family to the fourth prince as his consort. Consort Zheng bore no sons. By forming this alliance through marriage, the fourth prince effectively gained the support of the Zheng family. The rivalry among the princes grew increasingly tense. Yet before the fourth prince's bride had even entered the palace, consort Zheng's wayward nephew got into a public brawl with the second son of the Duke of the State over a courtesan, leaving the young nobleman gravely injured. Lord Zheng, blamed for failing to discipline his son, was not only demoted one rank but also stripped of his military command by the emperor. Suddenly, the marriage between the fourth prince and the Zheng family seemed rather awkward. Yet this union was personally arranged by the emperor. Even if Lord Zheng were to lose not just his military authority but his official position altogether, the fourth prince must still marry the Zheng maiden. Pei Yu made a seemingly casual move. "In 3 months, father should return to the capital for his official report." While pondering my next move, I replied, "Yes. Time is running out for us." The fourth prince married Lady Zheng as his consort, though bitterly. Yet on that very same day, he also brought a secondary consort into the palace. This enraged the emperor so severely he coughed up blood. And by nightfall, he was bedridden. Imperial guards sealed off the emperor's chambers like a fortress, not even allowing consort Zheng to approach. The emperor now suspects his sons of plotting to seize the throne. He's as jumpy as a bird startled by a bowstring. The imperial preceptor said. Pei Yu absent-mindedly picked up a black stone but hesitated to place it on the board. Then spread the news that the emperor is gravely ill and intends to appoint the second prince as regent. The second prince's birth mother was merely an obscure minor consort. Yet she was one of consort Zheng's confidants. The eldest son was born to the late empress. But since she died by suicide, he never gained the emperor's favor. Thus, the emperor's desire to appoint the second prince as regent seemed reasonable. Yet the other princes saw it differently. The third and fifth princes entered the palace with their household troops, ostensibly to protect the emperor. As for the second prince, rumored to be appointed regent, he followed with the fourth prince, claiming to quell the unrest. What transpired within the palace that night remains unknown to us. Yet by dawn the next day, the emperor issued an edict demoting the third and fifth princes to commoners, confining them for life within their princely mansions. They were forbidden to leave without summons. The second and fourth princes, who had gone to quell the disturbance, fared no better. The former was angrily denounced by the emperor as disloyal and unfilial, stripped of his title, and exiled to a harsh, frigid land. Only the fourth prince retained his princely status. This was solely due to the imperial preceptor interceding on his behalf, coupled with the persuasion of consort Sheng, which barely preserved his princely rank. Nevertheless, the emperor confined him within the prince's residence, forbidding him to leave without summons. Overnight, the adult princes were either confined or exiled. Now, the only ones still moving freely were the sixth prince, barely 7 years old, and the seventh prince, born just last year. Even Princess Huiyang, who had always been notoriously arrogant, had significantly toned down her behavior. Court officials lived in constant fear. Pei Yu mentioned that during court sessions, even the ministers who usually argued the most now scarcely spoke. This situation persisted for 2 full months. Then the Empress Dowager passed away. After the morning bells tolled in the palace, the mansion swiftly replaced its lanterns with white ones and removed all brightly colored ornaments and items. I thought she'd be the first to go. But who would have thought? The matriarch's face twisted into a sneer. The old lady said, after the emperor's birthday, the Empress Dowager's health began to fail. That she held on this long was already remarkable. These are turbulent times. You and Jin must keep the household in check to avoid trouble. Yes, mother, I replied. Your granddaughter-in-law has already cautioned the household. After my rebirth, Pei Yu and I had thoroughly vetted every servant in the manor. Those with questionable backgrounds had all been dismissed. The old lady nodded slightly. Rest while you can. The Empress Dowager's arrangements. Who knows how His Majesty will decide? His Majesty summoned eminent monks from Xianghua Temple to conduct 49 consecutive days of memorial rites for the Empress Dowager. When we entered the palace to pay our respects according to custom, we encountered Consort Sheng and Princess Huiyang. The usually haughty Consort Sheng and Princess Huiyang now wore mourning robes, keeping vigil at the Empress Dowager's bedside. Fortunately, it was winter, so the funeral hall held no unpleasant odors. Yet Princess Huiyang remained as pale as death. As the emperor's most favored princess, she had never endured such hardship. When she saw me, Princess Huiyang wore a pensive expression, lost in thought. Madame Pei. Princess Huiyang suddenly addressed me. I hear Madame Pei possesses exquisite calligraphy. Might you not remain in the palace today to transcribe a few sutras for the Empress Dowager? What say you? Consort Jing frowned. Huiyang, do not be discourteous. But Princess Huiyang paid her no heed. Madame Pei, I ask you, would you be willing to transcribe sutras for the Empress Dowager? I could hardly refuse. Honored by Princess Huiyang's esteem, this humble servant shall remain in the palace to transcribe scriptures for Her Majesty the Empress Dowager. I'd like to see what Princess Huiyang intends by keeping me here. She did not place me in the memorial hall. Instead, she found a secluded side chamber, instructing me to transcribe scriptures for the Empress Dowager in solitude. Whether intentionally or not, no one came to bring me food until evening. Young mistress, shall I go and... Xiu-he, stay right here. Don't go anywhere. I cut the maid off. With only the two of us left in the palace now. If you leave, you might fall into someone else's trap. Princess Huiyang deliberately had no meals sent to us. The moment Xiuhe went to inquire about the food, I would be left entirely alone here. Then, whatever Princess Huiyang wished to do would become much easier. Naturally, I would not give her that opportunity. Perhaps noticing Xiuhe's lingering presence, palace maids soon arrived bearing our meal. With the Empress Dowager's passing, the food naturally contained no meat. Xiuhe merely approached and gave it a light sniff before stating, "Young madam, these foods must not be touched. Something has been added to them." Xiuhe possesses some medical knowledge. That is why I kept her here to accompany me today. I rubbed my slightly aching wrists. What consequences would we face if we consumed these foods? Xiuhe's expression darkened slightly as she replied, "What has been added is the union powder." I instructed Xiuhe to carry the meal brought by the palace maid while I took the portion of scriptures I had copied. Together, we went to meet another noble consort in the palace. Consort Chen. After the late empress's suicide, 2 more noble consorts had been appointed to jointly oversee the 6 palaces. Unlike Consort Cheng, Consort Chen, though not particularly favored, had a son and 2 daughters. Open and covert struggles between the two were frequent. Yet Consort Chen never found herself at a disadvantage. I instructed Xiuhe to place the meal on the table and explained our purpose to Consort Chen. Princess Huiyang kept this servant in the palace today to transcribe scriptures for the Empress Dowager. Little did I expect such a vile incident to occur. I deliberately trailed off. Had it not been for this maid by my side who knows a little medicine, I might have fallen victim to that villain tonight. As I spoke, I feigned a look of lingering fear. Consort Chen signaled to the matron beside her. After the matron inspected every item of food we brought, she reported, "Your Highness, all these items brought by Lady Pei, including those 2 bowls of rice, have been tampered with." Consort Chen lifted her eyes to meet mine. "Lady Pei, let's be frank. How do you propose to resolve this matter?" Around the 3rd hour of the evening, the courtyard suddenly grew bustling. Princess Huiyang, who should have been keeping vigil at the Empress Dowager's funeral hall, had instead brought a large entourage to visit me, a court lady copying sutras for the late Empress Dowager. Truth be told, it was my fault for leaving Lady Pei alone in the palace. Had anything truly happened, how could I have faced Lord Pei? Princess Huiyang pushed open the side chamber door as she spoke. Inside, I sat quietly at my desk, transcribing sutras for the Empress Dowager. Empress Consort Chen, who should not have been present, now sat beside me, copying sutras alongside me. Princess Huiyang's smile froze instantly. Empress Consort Chen looked up, puzzled. "Huiyang, why have you come here at this hour?" The attendant by Princess Huiyang's side hastily replied, "Your Highness, our princess heard that thieves had entered Lady Pei's courtyard. Fearing for Lady Pei's safety, she ordered us to come." Consort Chen shot the palace made a cold glance. "How dare you? I am speaking with Princess Huiyang. How could a lowly servant like you interrupt?" Before Princess Huiyang could react, Consort Chen continued, "I have been here all along, copying sutras with Lady Pei. I have seen no thieves whatsoever." She shifted her tone, however. "Since Princess Huiyang claims there are thieves, I cannot simply turn a blind eye. Someone, go fetch the imperial preceptor." Pei Yu entered the palace with his troops. The imperial decree came directly from the emperor himself. The emperor's health had deteriorated significantly, and his fear of death grew ever stronger. Upon hearing reports of suspected intruders in the palace, he heeded the state preceptor's counsel and ordered Pei Yu to enter the palace with his troops to safeguard his safety. Yet, the moment Pei Yu crossed the palace gates, the emperor was assassinated and died without recovery. Before his passing, the emperor left a will, commanding the 7-year-old 6th prince to ascend the throne as emperor, with Pei Yu serving as regent to assist the new ruler. As for Princess Huiyang, Being the only witness to the assassin, she was naturally imprisoned. Before the new emperor even took the throne, he ordered the 3 departments to jointly investigate the assassination of the late emperor. The late emperor's death was shrouded in mystery. Someone had to take the fall. Princess Huiyang was the only witness to the assassin. She likely bears some connection to the crime. You must investigate this case thoroughly. Do not show leniency simply because she is a princess. Outside, Consort Xing knelt, weeping and crying out for Princess Huiyang's innocence. Seeing no one heeded her pleas, Consort Xing turned her accusations toward me. According to Princess Huiyang, she saw the assassin enter Lady Pei's courtyard. If you intend to interrogate Princess Huiyang, you should also question Lady Pei. Consort Xing interrupted Consort Xing at the opportune moment. She looked down from her elevated position at Consort Xing, who knelt on the ground. I remained by Lady Pei's side throughout the day. Could it be, Consort Xing, that you imply this assassination attempt against His Majesty is somehow connected to me? The 6th prince was born to Consort Qin. Once he ascended the throne, Consort Qin would become Empress Dowager. Consort Qin collapsed onto the ground, speechless for a long while. After the late emperor's passing, the capital was placed under martial law. Many court officials had closed their doors to visitors, and the Pei household was no exception. The realm is likely to descend into chaos. Mother-in-law pondered thoughtfully. Xing, send someone to the Qin residence. Mother. Before her words were finished, Pei Yu's voice sounded from the doorway. I haven't seen him for several days since the late emperor's passing. Pei Yu nodded at me before saying, I've already sent someone to the Qin residence. The Qin family's ancestral home isn't in the capital. After the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, Pei Yu had already sent someone to the Qin residence to remind my father of what we were about to do. My mother-in-law immediately relaxed. Counting the days. Your father should be arriving in the capital soon. Pei Yu glanced up at the sky. The Imperial Astronomical Bureau has already selected the coronation date for the 6th prince. Father will arrive before then. When the Xing family's envoy arrived, I was sipping tea with my mother-in-law. The once overbearing Lady Xing now deigned to visit me, a junior, solely for the sake of Consort Xing in the palace and Princess Huiyang in prison. Madame Xing studied me with a complex gaze for a long moment before reluctantly curtsying. This humble wife greets the regent princess. What brings Madame Xing here today? I asked bluntly, unwilling to beat around the bush. A strained smile touched her lips. I come on behalf of Consort Xing, imploring the regent princess to show mercy and spare Princess Huiyang's life. With the new emperor yet to ascend the throne, Consort Xing naturally retained her title. I replied coldly, my Pei family bears no grudge against your household. Why would Lady Xing seek to harm us? Lady Xing's expression shifted slightly as she hastened to protest. Your humble servant harbors no such intent. I implore your highness to discern the truth. Absolutely not. I couldn't help but sneer. On the day the late emperor was assassinated, Princess Huiyang personally claimed to have seen the assassin. That's why His Royal Highness the 6th Prince ordered the 3 departments to jointly investigate this case. Now, before the case has even been resolved, Lady Xing asks me to spare Princess Huiyang's life. To the uninformed, it might seem as though Princess Huiyang is being implicated in the late emperor's assassination, as if I, Qin Zheng, had orchestrated it. I gave a cold laugh, or perhaps Lady Xing believes His Royal Highness ordered the investigation into Princess Huiyang merely to vent his anger over a lowly lady-in-waiting like me. After Lady Xing left, my mother-in-law berated her for nearly half an incense stick's worth of time. I see the Xing family is rotten to the core. Mother-in-law seethed with fury. The elder comes begging your favor while plotting against you. The younger either debauches himself chasing women or schemes to steal another's husband, each more shameless than the last. I poured mother-in-law a cup of hot tea and urged, Mother, please calm down. It's not worth getting angry over such people. The Xing family's arrogance won't last long. Following the late emperor's passing, all banquets, music, and marriages were forbidden for 3 years. Yet Lady Zhang's good-for-nothing son was found drinking and carousing with his mistress in his private residence. Coincidentally, that residence bordered the residence of the imperial censor. The censor didn't wait until the next day. He immediately sent men to storm the house, catching Jing Guifei's nephew red-handed. Barely half a month after the late emperor's passing, the imperial consort Zhang's nephew openly indulged in debauchery. His Royal Highness the Sixth Prince ordered the arrest of the imperial consort Zhang's nephew on the spot. Meanwhile, Lord Zhang was stripped of his official hat once more for failing to raise his son properly. Upon learning of this, the imperial consort Zhang fainted from shock and has yet to regain consciousness. When my mother-in-law mentioned this, she wore a look of schadenfreude. The old lady sighed. Spoiling a child is like killing him. The Zhang family's downfall is entirely their own doing. My mother-in-law suddenly looked at me as if remembering something. "Ah, Zhang," she said. "Princess Huiyang wishes to see you. Would you like to meet her?" I went to see Princess Huiyang. Unlike my previous life, this time it was I who appeared in full regalia within the prison walls. The prisoner undergoing punishment was Princess Huiyang. Her hair hung disheveled as she leaned against a corner, indistinguishable from the other female prisoners within the dungeon. Upon seeing me, Princess Huiyang instinctively smoothed her messy black hair. Realizing this gesture was futile, she withdrew her hand. "I thought you wouldn't come," Princess Huiyang said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I stood outside the cell and replied indifferently. Princess Huiyang wished to see me, so naturally I came. Standing here, I couldn't help but recall everything that had happened to me and the Pei family in my previous life. Everything, absolutely everything, had stemmed from the selfish desires of the woman before me. Had she not set her sights on Pei Yu, the Pei family would never have met such a fate. Even if the emperor had wanted to strip the Pei family of their military authority, even for the sake of court and realm stability, he wouldn't have dared use such barbaric methods. It was Princess Huiyang and consort Zhang who gave him that opportunity. "Qin Zhang, I wish to make a deal with you." Princess Huiyang maintained her haughty demeanor. I sneered, "Princess Huiyang, you're nothing but a prisoner now. What right do you have to negotiate terms with me?" Princess Huiyang glared at me. "Qin Zhang," she spat. "If you refuse my terms, I will tell them all that the assassin I saw was one of your Pei family. That you and Pei Yu were the masterminds behind the attempt on my father's life." I looked at Princess Huiyang with pity. "It seems Princess Huiyang is unaware," I said. "Before His Majesty's passing, he left a posthumous edict. My husband now serves as regent prince, and I am the regent princess." A slow smile touched my lips. "Tell me, would they believe the words of a prisoner like you, or those of the regent prince?" Princess Huiyang had lost her mind. One moment she claimed the assassin was sent by the Zhang family. The next she denied any assassin existed, insisting the villain was among her own people. Pei Yu had this news relayed to consort Zhang. That very night, consort Zhang swallowed gold to end her life within her own palace. The sixth prince ordered the execution of consort Zhang's nephew as a warning to others. As for Princess Huiyang, she was granted poisoned wine. This imperial sister of mine likely feigned madness to evade responsibility. Now that her mother is gone, let her join her father and mother in the afterlife. The sixth prince, though young, spoke with a childish voice the coldest and most ruthless words. On the day Princess Huiyang was executed, her father-in-law finally returned to the capital. In my previous life, after the Pei family was arrested, the emperor dispatched messengers bearing his secret edict to the frontier by fast horse, where they executed my father-in-law on the spot, a man who knew nothing of the plot. I had been unaware of this matter. But Princess Huiyang, seeking to force my confession, revealed it to me in a tone of triumphant gloating. "Lord Pei is already dead. Qin Zhang, if you refuse to confess, The entire Pei family will perish alongside you. To this day, I vividly recall Princess Huiyang's expression and tone at that moment. The sixth prince reigned as emperor for only 3 months before, citing his own incompetence, sought to transfer the throne to regent Prince Pei Yu. Now that the Jing family has fallen, all military power rests firmly in the hands of the Pei clan. Even the young emperor has voluntarily abdicated in favor of a worthy successor. Naturally, no one in court dares to speak out, for those who voice dissent have met untimely deaths. In the face of life and death, all principles become worthless. Most crucially, the late emperor had already lost the people's trust. That winter before his demise, several counties suffered a once-in-a-century snow disaster. Yet instead of issuing relief edicts, the late emperor diverted treasury silver to build himself a royal retreat. After his death, rebellions of varying scales erupted across the land. The realm was far from peaceful. The young emperor was merely 7 years old, having scarcely read a book. Relying on him to turn the tide was virtually impossible. Pei Yu repeatedly declined. But ultimately, Empress Dowager Chen pleaded before the assembled ministers for him to ascend the throne and rescue the people from their plight. Only then did Pei Yu relent. The young emperor proved far more astute than I had anticipated. After relinquishing the throne, he sought a favor from Pei Yu. He wished to change his name and surname, remaining with the Pei family as a nephew to study. Even Empress Dowager Chen, residing within the palace, expressed no desire to stay. She wished to take her 2 daughters to live in the imperial retreat. Pei Yu granted each request. After ascending the throne, Pei Yu personally led his troops into battle, quelling rebellions across the land in the shortest time possible. The grandmother who had become Empress Dowager remained somewhat bewildered. Even after we moved into the palace, she still found it hard to believe her son had become emperor. And without losing a single soldier, the old lady seemed to grasp something, asking me, when the late Empress Dowager passed away, "Did you stay in the palace because it was planned with you?" I shook my head and said, I didn't expect Princess Huiyang to keep me back then either. But everything that followed was us turning the tables on them. Pei Yu had people secretly guarding me. When I went to see Consort Chen, my secret protectors relayed my intentions to Pei Yu. Everything that happened afterward was Pei Yu working with me behind the scenes. Though it all came suddenly, thankfully, we succeeded. The events involving Princess Huiyang in my past life taught Pei Yu and me a crucial lesson. To protect oneself, one must possess supreme power. Only by wielding that power can one truly control one's own destiny and that of one's entire clan. Fortunately, both Pei Yu and I were granted a second chance. And this time, we succeeded.